And it's official. The New York Jets have grown-ups in the building. Listen, it's the Hang or Hangout, episode 42. Appreciate you guys for, again, spending your time with me on a Tuesday night. It's going to be a shorter night. I want to apologize in advance. I've got to be on an airplane in the morning to go ahead and go to a site for work. So it's going to be a shorter show. So bear with me. Nevertheless, we got some good stuff for you guys tonight. I got Tigo in the building. We're going to go ahead and talk about the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers pretty much no longer being the future of the Jets, but how Aaron Glen definitively is, and the decisions he's making right now kind of show you that the New York Jets have legitimate grown-ups in the building. I'm excited about it. I think you should be too as Jets fans. We're going to go ahead and talk about it tonight. It's Hangout episode 42. Man, talk about coming a long way. Let's talk Jets football.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you won a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you won a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.
Any players that's here now, put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. Listen, there are going to be some challenges, but with challenges becomes opportunity, gets opportunity. But here's what I do know. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
And here we go. And here we go with the New York Jets, and we're built for this shit. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you guys for chopping it up with me again on a Tuesday night. It's the Hang or Hangout. Again, it's episode 42. I really am ecstatic to be at this point. The last attempt at trying to go ahead and stay regular and stay focused on doing live streams didn't end very well for me. Wind up pretty much crashing out after like episode 10. But here I am, episode 42. Shout out to Ari Stream for making this thing easy. Shout out to you guys for chopping it up with me and being in the building with me, which makes this thing a lot easier and a lot more engaging. Today, we're going to talk about freaking Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Glen, the New York Jets, of course. Reports came out earlier today that kind of go ahead and give us a breakdown of what occurred when the brass decided that Aaron Rodgers was not going to be with the team moving forward. And it sounds like there's more to the story. I tweeted this out earlier, and I said that I don't believe that the story is the full story. There's got to be more to it. I understood that individuals, of course, jumped with it, talking about that the Jets making the decision to go ahead and bypass Rodgers all willy-nilly. There obviously was more to it. So tonight, we're going to talk about it. I got my boy Tigo in the building with me. Appreciate you guys for chopping it up with me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and, of course, on YouTube. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I urge you to go ahead and really jump on your YouTube account and go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We do some pretty awesome giveaways. There's a pretty awesome one coming during this NFL draft. You want to be here for it. You don't want to miss that one. So do me a favor and get on the YouTube to be a part of our giveaways. We're also going to be doing a Namath jersey giveaway once we hit freaking 2,000 subscribers. So we're at like 1,690 something. We're trying to go ahead and get there. Want to hit the 2,000 hopefully before the draft. Then we'll do 2 giveaways right between now and the draft. So Joe Namath jersey, autograph jersey is up for grabs once we hit 2,000 subscribers. You subbing right now, you might be the lucky one. Who knows? But without further ado, I got my boy Tigo in the background. Let's bring him out. Tigo, what's good, brother?
Caught me right at the end of a sneeze attack.
Look at you, man. You look.
What's up, man?
You good? You tired?
No, I just started sneezing out of nowhere, dude.
Oh.
Hit me real rough and weird.
I mean, it is allergy season, so it makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's Florida, so we don't have winters, so it's hard.
Yeah, no, I feel you. So, how you feeling, man? How you doing? Yeah,
I
yeah.
just I said it before. I'll say it, and I'll say it again. I'm never gonna be one of those people that's just gonna be like, I hate this hire and I want this person to be bad because of that. Like I've never been that type of fan. I never understood that type of fan. You know what I mean? To be like, this isn't the guy I wanted, so I would rather be right than my team win games or that kind of. And I'm like, that's stupid. No. I hope I'm wrong. Every decision that the Jets make that isn't the one that aligns with mine, I hope I'm the wrong one and that they're right. I think the problem is that more often than not, we know better than the Jets in like certain things, and that's kind of what we've seen historically. And at this point, like I said it before, Aaron Glenn was not. I didn't want Aaron Glenn. Darren Muji wasn't on my list, but I'm going to give them every opportunity to disappoint me. I'm going to give them every opportunity to fail because ultimately I don't care about hiring the guy that I want. I care about winning games. I care about winning football games. I care about being able to wear my Jets gear out in public. I care about like I won last year's draft giveaway. Guys, it's real. It's right there. That is a signed Elijah Vera Tucker jersey. He's not joking. Hit the subscribe button. It's real. He did that. It's right there. I haven't framed it yet because I'm lazy. But it's getting framed. But like again, my whole thing is like I want to be able to wear Jets gear out. I want to be able to like when my friends come over and be like, oh no, like that's my signed Elijah Vera Tucker jersey and not be like, oh, you're a Jets fan? Oh, you have signed Jets gear? Like I want that to be over. And that's all I care about.
Honestly, man, that's fair. That's fair. I think you're not asking for much, right? As Jets fans, we've been through this situation now for what feels like forever, where it's been. We're proud to be Jets fans. We want to brag about it. We want to tell the world, and every time we tell the world about it, the New York Jets gives the world an opportunity to go ahead and knock us down. Like that's been our norm.
I want to be able to wear my stuff and not be like, ooh, damn, the Jets.
You're a Jets. Yeah, trust me. I'm out here in Texas, and I'm catching those kind of strays all the time. And again, like one of my coworkers today, actually, huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. I go into the office today. I'm going to talk shit. It's great to go ahead and be able to talk shit. They call it a major L. And ultimately, me talking shit, he goes, it could be worse. I could be a Jets fan. And I sat there and I was just like,
he's objectively right.
God damn it, man. Aren't you right? What would we do as Jets fans to be in the predicament to go to the Super Bowl and to lose the Super Bowl? We'd be ecstatic.
Hell yeah.
And so I had to shut up. And
we throw Jets, a parade just for getting there.
Just for getting there. But I gotta disagree with you, man. I think in terms of you said that as Jets fans, we usually are correct in analyzing, you know what I'm saying, like what's a good move, what's a bad move. Let's not forget, man, a lot of us were 100% on board with the Robert Saleh hiring. A lot of us were 100% on board with the Aaron Rodgers, acquisition. The Devontae Adams thing, we love that too. We've been pretty much on board with a lot of the moves that we've seen over the last couple of years.
Yeah, but I think you got to take it all the way back, though. Not everybody was on board with Saleh. Saleh wasn't on the top of everybody's list in that hiring cycle.
Saleh was objectively the best candidate available in that hiring cycle. He was one of the hot commodities in that hiring cycle.
No. Aaron Glenn was a hot commodity in this hiring cycle. But that doesn't – I think, like, if we look back at that hiring cycle, Saleh was just one of the names of acceptable people that were available. I think more people wanted Matt Rule. Wasn't that the Vrabel hiring cycle?
No,
that wasn't Vrabel. What was the other offensive guy? It was Arthur Smith and Matt Rule. And I think a lot of people wanted Smith. I didn't want Smith.
I didn't want
Saleh.
I was excited about Saleh. I ain't gonna lie. I was excited about
Once
Saleh.
we hired Saleh, I wanted him to bring McDaniels with him. And then again, nepotism takes over, and it's just like, I didn't want Saleh. I remember what it was. It was Mike McCarthy. Remember?
That's right. Yeah,
that's
Mike McCarthy.
Who it was. And everybody wanted Mike McCarthy.
He wanted to be the Jets quarterback.
He wanted to be the Jets head coach. And instead, we went Saleh. And again, I don't think people wanted Saleh. People wanted McCarthy.
Well, I personally, I didn't think McCarthy was really going to happen, even though when he started coming out saying he wanted, you know what I'm saying, to be here, I think he was asking to be pretty much general manager and head coach in terms of what he wanted. I guess in this case, maybe he would have made better decisions. He wanted more autonomy in regards to how operations ran. Saleh excited me, man, because of the fact that 49ers defense.
Though. I don't know if you can say that about Mike McCarthy, because then he went to Dallas. You have no control in Dallas. That's the Jerry Jones show.
But you got to remember, though, he got hired late in the rotation of opportunities. He was one of the last head coach hires in that rotation because he was either waiting for the Jets, you know what I'm saying, opportunity, or he was pretty much throwing his resume out there. I don't think the Cowboys were really high on his list. I think at the end of the day, that was the available role. And he said, all right, fuck it.
If
he could have.
Like if he was
but if you're getting Benjis thrown at you, man, to go ahead and coach the Cowboys at the time, who had a very talented roster, who a lot of people thought like, hey, these guys could do some damage if they get the right coaching. You take the chance on that, so it made sense.
No, but I agree with that statement. What I'm saying is, I think your assessment of he wanted control of the Jets, I don't think that's true, because he's never been in a situation where he's had control. Full control. He didn't have it in Green Bay. He didn't have it in Dallas. The Jets just chose, just like this hiring cycle, they just chose, we'll pass on Mike McCarthy.
So I look at it like this, right? So Mike McCarthy, I feel like a lot of individuals who wanted Mike Vrabel, who wanted Mike McCarthy, I'm not opposed to the idea. I was, again, on board with bringing an offensive mind here. But we kind of know what those guys' ceilings are. I'm sorry to say this, man, but McCarthy specifically had one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time as his quarterback, and it got him one Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. I don't think we have the greatest quarterback of all time walking through the door at any given moment as a Jets fan. So for me, you kind of know what that dude's ceiling was because we've seen it. We've seen you with a top 10 defense and a top 5 offense with the number 1 quarterback in football. And it got you one Super Bowl over almost a decade of being the coach. So, granted, is he a safe pick, like high floor, low ceiling guy? I think so. Vrabel, I think, is a high floor, low ceiling guy. I think so as well. And I would not be pissed off if we had those guys in the building, not by any means, because at least we would have some semblance of regularity, and we've had stability, consistency and stability. We would have that 100%. I think when you go a guy like Aaron Glen. You go with Aaron Glen because you're looking for potentially the guy. You're looking for the next Dan Campbell. You're looking for your Shanahan. You're looking for a guy that's going to come in here and potentially carry you to I hate the guy's name from the Eagles. The Eagles head coach. Brain fart right now. Just won the Super Bowl. Sirianni, right? You're looking for Sirianni. Like, you look at those guys, Andy Reid being the anomaly, obviously, being the veteran of the bunch that's been able to go ahead and win consistently. But his opponents that he's faced off against have been relatively young, up-and-coming coaches that he's had to face up against the last couple of years. You're looking for that. And I think if the goal is to win a Super Bowl, why are we repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? We've already seen Mike McCarthy at the helm. We've already seen Mike Vrabel at the helm. It didn't work out. Again, I understand if you're looking for stability and you want to go ahead and just shun your name of the LOL Jets. I think those two guys make that your reality, where you're no longer the LOL Jets, because you will at least have stability and consistency in terms of being above average to good, and it might surprise you. I think the Aaron Glen situation is one of those things where you're shooting for the stars, right? You're trying to hit the home run. And honestly, man, the way he's handled this Aaron Rodgers situation, I think speaks volumes to that. Like, I know you're
but not in a positive way.
I disagree 1,000%, because he's making the tough decision that a lot of individuals would probably cave and not make. So reports are coming out about how Aaron Rodgers, of all the GMs and head coaches that came through, One Jets Drive for interviews, the consensus was they did not want to move forward with Aaron Rodgers as being their guy. Aaron Glen being more open-minded, I think Muji being more open-minded, felt, okay, we're going to talk to him at least, have a conversation before we make that decision.
But are we going off of the report of Dimitrov? Is that because that's the only person that
came out and said the same thing as well. There was another podcast earlier that they're actually beat writers. I'm drawing a blank right now, but they came out and they spoke about And again, even the whole concept of Aaron Rodgers not being the quarterback is hearsay because we haven't heard from the Jets, we haven't heard from Aaron Rodgers. We're just going off of what the reports are stating. But if the reports are true and they are accurate, the fact that Aaron Glen had a conversation with Aaron Rodgers and told that man, listen, we'll bring you back in the building, but you need to understand something. It's not about you. It's about the Jets. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be at every single practice. You're going to be at freaking training camp. And this whole thing you're doing with Pat McAfee, man, it's a distraction. I think you need to go ahead and put that on pause during the regular season. And we need you in here focused on the Jets, not on Aaron Rodgers. Now, if those conversations happen, and there's
but I think you're making a big assumption that the conversations happened like that.
But the thing is, we don't know, right? But the conversation being said, right? The reports are right now that.
No, but let's say from a different perspective, the same conversation could have been: I'm going into this conversation with the intention of giving Aaron Rodgers a chance, but I don't want him. And I can easily come in and said, and just, Aaron, you're not doing Pat McAfee. You're coming at every single practice, non-negotiable. We're not having a conversation. And then Aaron goes, hey, like, I totally understand. I have a commitment with Pat McAfee. Like, can we at least talk about it? Maybe like, and then he goes and he says, you know what? No, done. You're out of here. That could be the same conversation that's reported, but just in a different light. We have no idea what the conversation was. We have no idea like in the same breath that I can say that Aaron could have been the Glen. There's two, we got to go last names because they're both Aaron, right? That Glen could have been the stubborn guy coming in, or that Rodgers could have been the stubborn guy coming in. We have no idea. We have no idea who did anything like that. So this report doesn't go to show anything. And if anything, the thing that we can assume is that they were both hard-headed, because that's who Glen and Rodgers is. They both came in trying to be the biggest dick in the locker room, and no one was trying to find a middle ground.
So this is where I'm going to go ahead and look at you and say, if you can honestly sit here knowing Aaron Rodgers, right, knowing his repertoire, knowing the heads of that he's butted with McCarthy, with freaking current coach right now, the freaking Packers, the rumors of him pretty much dictating how things were going to happen with the Jets. If you think that he came into that aspect thinking to himself that, like, listen, I'm going to go ahead and just be submissive to a rookie head coach, a rookie offensive coordinator, I'm going to go ahead and throw away. That's where I sit back and I think it's more believable that Aaron Glen wanted to get on the same page with him and say, listen, man, if we want you back, but it has to be this way because we're trying to create something here and build something here. We're not going to run your offense. You're going to run ours. So you're going to have to take the extra time to learn this new offense. This is why you will be in practices. You will be in training camp. And this whole Pat McAfee thing was a freaking circus last year in terms of you having conversations, the Devontae Adams thing, you're revealing it. It was more about the Aaron Rodgers experiment, vice the New York Jets. That sounds like Aaron Glen to me. It just does.
But I think you're putting it in a positive light to make Aaron Glen look good.
But it's not. How else would it not be looked good in terms of what we've seen in the last couple of years?
Also came in like this is the thing is everything that we've heard about Aaron Glen as a coach is like he's strong-willed and he's very like, you know, it's okay. I want to go back to one of the things that you said before, because one of the things that you said before was, why is it that we do the same thing expecting a different result? Is Aaron Glen's hire not Saleh 4 years later? Saleh was an up-and-coming defensive play caller who was a rah-rah guy who was supposed to be the CEO. Like they fit the same mold. The only difference is that Aaron Glen wore a Jets jersey once and Saleh didn't. And Saleh's defenses were better than Glen's were.
No, it's not the same thing. And I'll tell you what's not the same thing. Saleh didn't have to build a freaking defense from the bottom and build it up to make them a contender. Saleh wasn't part of a regime of a team that was trash and had to figure out how to build a culture and go ahead and create a winning mindset with a group of players. That is where a lot of people have this misconception of like, oh, it's the same exact thing. No, it's not. Saleh was a 49ers defensive coordinator. The 49ers have been winning for as long as you and I can remember. He didn't have to come in there and create a culture or build a culture. He didn't have to do that. Aaron Glen with Dan Campbell and had to go into Detroit, a very shitty situation, a very Jets-like situation of winning, just a bunch of losers, a fan base just beat the fuck up because there's a bunch of losers, and they had to start from the bottom, and now they're here. It's vastly different.
The starter from the bottom, now we're here, came on the offensive side of the ball, not the defensive side of the ball. The defense has always
bullshit. The defense was trash before.
And objectively, the defense was trash before, and the defense is mid now. The growth that the Detroit Lions have come and the growth that the Detroit Lions have seen was on the offensive side of the ball.
The Detroit Lions defense finished top 3 in stopping the run, top 3 in freaking in pass defense. And this is after the fact that they were freaking beat up all over the place in terms of injuries from star players.
I'm not saying that it was a bad defense. I'm saying I don't think that they were top 5. Like I just don't think that's true.
They finished out as a top 5 unit. I mean, I don't know if you're stopping the run and you have a top passing defense, top 5 passing defense. I get it in terms of I think overall defense because of the points on the back end of the season, it looked bad, but if you calculate because Aaron Rodgers looked horrible in the beginning of the year,
in the back 6 weeks,
and everyone's out, 3,800 yards. If you look at the Lions season, vice versa, when he had to deal with the injuries, the Lions defense was a freaking wall.
Totally. So let's use that. Let's use that sample size. Let's use it before the catastrophic injuries happen. But okay, last year's defense wasn't good for the Detroit Lions. The year before that, it wasn't good. But I'm not even trying. This is me. I don't like where I'm coming from because it makes me seem like I'm anti-Glen, and I'm not. That's not. I want Glen to work out. I really, really like the Tanner Angstrat hire. I really like the offense that we're running. It's just, I just can't get over the fact that he comes in and he does the press conference where it's just the clip that you said, that you put in your intro of where the motherfucking Jets get ready to start winning. With adverse, all this stuff, right? And he says all this stuff that sounds really, really good. But then makes a decision to actively put this team back behind the curve. Instead of being in a retool, he's actively choosing a rebuild. And that's where I look at it and I go, because we know that this decision of not bringing Aaron back is going to have repercussions to the players that are currently on the roster. We're already seeing the discontent online. We're already seeing that. And that's only the stuff, that's only the people with the balls to actually tweet. We don't know about the people on the back end. And so all of the good things that we could point at to the New York Jets because Saleh, like you're saying, Saleh wasn't given a good football team, and he built the Jets up to where they are now, where we have some good pieces, him and JD. They fumbled the bag. They needed to be gone. They needed to be gone last year, if we're going to be honest. We fired them a year too late. But now you're going and you're saying all of the positive things that the Jets have, that can go away. Because is Garrett Wilson going to want to sit and have 12 quarterbacks in 4 years? Because that's what we're barreling down. We know we're not going to get 17 games out of Tyrod. People might have hope in Jordan Travis. He's a career backup, if that. And so, the rumor that's come out, and I already hate this, is that Jared Stidham might be the guy that we bring in because he was familiar with Moogie in Denver. And it's just so we're just capitulating. We're going 16 years outside of the playoffs. That's what we're going to do. And then these players are going to be more mad and they're not going to want to stick around. And now the rookie quarterback that you could have gotten in 2026, who could have been in a situation much, much better with actual weapons and things like that, is going to have to, we're going to do the Sam Darnold again, except this time we'll have an O-line because we can't let those guys escape. That's where I'm coming from. I'm sick and tired of losing. That's it. I'm sick and tired of losing.
The problem with Tigo, the problem with what you're saying is your thought process, and it's not just you, right? I've seen a lot of Jets fans jump on, on Twitter or social media, and they're pissed, they're agitated about this move of letting Aaron Rodgers go. But if we watched Aaron Rodgers play this season, I don't think there's a single person that really believes, or at least logically believed that Aaron Rodgers was going to lead us to a Super Bowl, even if we had the same freaking performance from our defense and special teams as the year before. Yeah, the playoff drop might have been done, but Aaron Rodgers was not going to go ahead and beat Josh Allen in the Super Bowl. He was not going to beat Lamar Jackson in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs. He was. I'm telling you, we watched the games.
We beat Buffalo with Zach Wilson twice.
Timeout. Aaron Rodgers, if we're being honest with ourselves, has been to one Super Bowl in his lifetime. One. And I get it, man. I love the guy. It was fun. It was very hopeful because I was blaming everyone but Aaron Rodgers. I was blaming the team because they didn't have the right defense. I was blaming freaking, the coaching staff because they didn't. I was doing all that stuff before we brought him in. But there's a reason why the Packers were like, it's time for you to go on. We're going to go ahead and give it to Jordan Love and see what's going on. It's the reason why the Packers fans were like, losing Aaron Rodgers, no big deal. He started to fall off. We wanted to look at it, and I think as Jets fans, we look at him in a specific light. But think about this. Every single person that apparently took the interview job for GM and coach stated,
no, that's hearsay.
I want to do this. Okay, cool. Nevertheless, until proven otherwise, the scuttlebutt is that they wanted to go ahead. No, one of the freaking
Dimitrov. No, but Dimitrov came out and spoke out both sides of his mouth. 1 second he's saying, I didn't want to keep Rodgers. The other second he's saying, oh, no, but Rodgers is still good enough to play in the NFL.
The question is this, though. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, are we, as Jets fans, do we want to win a Super Bowl? Or are we just like, let's just go ahead and maybe make the playoffs? Aaron Rodgers won us 5 games with a roster that Zach Wilson won 7.
He didn't win 7 games with this roster. That's the thing. It's the same D-line. We had Quentin Jefferson, Javon Kinlaw, Quentin Jefferson. They're the same.
The New York Jets defense finished off as a top 6 defense this season. We both know that's not true.
Absolutely.
They were trash.
We both know that's not true.
The year before, they were a top 4 defense. So the difference is 2 rankings in terms of their defensive potential. A lot of that being based off of the AFC as a whole
because
was
we
trash
got to beat up.
It was
we
not.
We get number 6 because we got to beat up on the Patriots twice and the Broncos
100%.
Before Bo Nix knew how to play football.
But in terms of defense, in terms of performance-wise, they were number 4 last year when Zach Wilson won 7. They were number 6 this year when freaking Aaron Rodgers won 5.
Though. And here's the thing, here's the whole point, Gunny. One of 2 things is true. And this is the lens I think people need to look at it with this whole letting Aaron go. Because I hear this argument. We won 5 games with Aaron, so who cares if we're going to win 4 with Tyrod next year, right? Okay. Let's be real here. We fired Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh last offseason. And last offseason, let's just say we hire Vrabel because he's the only name from the hiring cycle that I remember from last year. Because I don't remember anybody else who was a coach last year that was available, right? Let's just say that's the case. Let's just say we don't have, and you know that this is true, we don't have a head coach that is forcing his offense to run the ball as much as possible. So every single play, Aaron has to audible out of to try and will something to happen. And even then, the play calling is bad. So let's just say we have a competent coaching staff and a GM who goes and finds a kicker instead of letting him sit on the roster for 4 weeks and loses 3 games and then putting him on IR so that he can still get paid. How many games do we win this past year if we just have Vrabel and competent coaching? 8 games?
I'd say 9 games. I'd say 9 to 10
games.
Yeah.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's the point. Coaching matters. I'm not going to sit here and try to argue that Aaron was an exceptional quarterback. He wasn't. But we've seen what this team can do with absolutely horrible quarterback play. Zach Wilson was the worst quarterback since the guy who lied about watching tape on the blank CD. I can't remember his name. That went to the Raiders. That's how bad Zach Wilson was. That's the standard. And we beat the Philadelphia Eagles, the only team to beat the Eagles in the AFC in their last 15 games is the Zach Wilson-led New York Jets. Oh, and we can't say that was the defensive performance because remember, that was the game we didn't have Sauce and DJ Reed. So we beat the Eagles with Zach Wilson, who can't hit water in the middle of the ocean if he was trying to throw the ball. We beat the Bills twice. We held the Bills to 3 points this year. And if the Zebras didn't get involved, we beat the Swifties at MetLife last year. Well, 2 years ago, because you know how it works. You get what I'm saying. So
Yeah,
this idea, Jamarcus Russell, thank you, Wild Wave. The point of all of that is this, is that either coaching matters, and once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen, because I don't think any of us expected that the commies were going to make an NFC chip game. That was unexpected. And they did it. And totally, Jaden Daniels, not Aaron Rodgers. Jaden Daniels, mobile, can do a whole bunch. But that roster is absolutely void of talent. They don't have anything. But coaching matters. That's what we saw. Because Jaden Daniels could have gone to the New York Jets, and we know that he wouldn't be putting up those numbers. Right? Like, we know that. Coaching matters. Cliff Kingsbury is a good offensive coach. That's why I wanted him to be the head coach of the New York Jets.
That's fair.
So then again, with all of that being said, the point is, either you believe that Glen is a good coach. I believe that Glen is a good coach. I believe that Tanner
100%.
Engstrand is a good offensive mind. I wanted Steve Wilkes to be this defensive unit. So the belief is this is a good coaching staff. This is a good coaching staff.
Yep.
If that's true, why is it that comparing them to the bad coaching staff of last year, the worst coach team in football, we don't get any more wins? We don't get a playoff run. We don't get the possibility of making it in the Super Bowl. Anything can happen in the playoffs. Anything. I thought the Baltimore Ravens were going to sweep the Buffalo Bills because they're the better roster at almost every position. They're the better roster.
I have an answer for you.
Anything can happen in the playoffs. There's the point. So you either think that Glen is a good coach, and if he's a good coach, he can win 10 games with Rodgers, or in the back of your head, he's not a good coach. There's no point in keeping Aaron Rodgers. Let's start the rebuild so that in 3 years from now, when we fire Glen, the new head coach can have that's the way that I'm looking at it, because either he's a good coach and he's going to coach a good team, or he's a bad coach and he's going to coach a bad team. And I want to believe that he's a good coach. So if he's a good coach, let's at least give him a good quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, because that's what he was. He was good. Wasn't great. Wasn't Hall of Fame Aaron Rodgers. That's not what we were getting. We were getting mid NFL level quarterback play out of Aaron. And that's good enough to win 10 to 11 games, in my opinion.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you put this all out there. So would you say that LaFleur is a good coach? A good head coach?
I think he's a good offensive play caller. I don't know if he's a good coach. That defense has continued to be a problem. Yes. Let's just say yes.
I'm actually very surprised you just said that, but all right. Okay, we'll say yes. So LaFleur had Aaron Rodgers in his prime. Would you agree that he had Aaron Rodgers in his prime? Aaron Rodgers won 2 MVPs under LaFleur. You don't think he had him in his prime?
Your prime is like 25 to 29.
And I'm not, no. Aaron Rodgers' prime is not the same.
No, but that's not
prime, because again,
give me Aaron Rodgers at 28 over MVP, Aaron Rodgers at 38.
That's insane. Two back-to-back MVPs. Aaron Rodgers literally just had a season right now where he literally matched the passing statistics of the MVP. One of his worst seasons of all time. I'll give you that. And yet the MVP literally had similar passing statistics to go ahead and win the MVP. I would say LaFleur has had Aaron Rodgers in his prime, especially when he got him 2 MVPs. And simply put, Aaron Rodgers didn't go to the Super Bowl. You know, he didn't get past pretty much the first round of the playoffs.
Okay, but
in
did
his
they do
prime.
it with Love?
Good, great coach. No, they didn't with Love. But I'm talking about the current situation. So now we're talking about moving him into year 41, and we're asking him to be average, not good or MVP caliber, just average. I think this season taught us something, that this Jets team is not as good as we thought that they were.
I think
they're not one piece away. See, I beg to differ,
because
you're going off of the season before.
No, not even. Don't take.
You're going off of the season
take
before
away the other season,
when the New York Jets beat a lot of teams that had no quarterbacks. Because let's be honest, a lot of injured guys we got to play, and again, I got built into it as well, and thought to myself, 7 wins, 5 of those wins were against backups. Let's just call it what it is. And in this season, you saw a lot of the same thing. Rookies are putting us in our freaking place. Drake May freaking embarrassed. Like it's one of those things where either the talent is not as good as we thought that they were, or there's no freaking buy-in. Those are the only two reasons why the team looked as dumb as they did against some opponents this season. Now, the reason why I think that you walk away from, and this is why I gotta believe that Aaron Glen and Moogie did their thing, and they spoke to him, and they wanted to go ahead and get the buy-in. Aaron Rodgers is about to be 41 years old. He's a 4-time MVP. He's arguably the most polarizing sports figure of all time. It's probably him, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, like most polarizing sports LeBron of all time. This is a guy who has gotten his way for quite some time, even in Green Bay when he wanted to. They wanted to change the offensive scheme point. We've seen with freaking Love, they've changed it up a little bit. They're doing different things with the offense. They accommodated freaking Aaron Rodgers. He's had his way for almost 2 decades. As for being honest, you think he was going to come in here and talking to Glenn and talking to Moody? Listen, we want to go ahead and change the offense around. We want to bring you into the 21st century. You're going to play offense our way, or it's not going to work out. This whole Pat McAfee show thing, I look at that and it makes so much sense in regards to the Aaron Rodgers mindset, because I'm being honest with myself. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm looking at this young head coach, this young offensive coordinator, and I'm like, bitch, who are you talking to? I'm him.
Take a step back. Let's have a conversation.
Exactly. Totally. So I do believe there was a bit of freaking like reservations when he's hearing that he's being put in the same category as the rest of the New York Jets team. And for me, if he doesn't see like why that's important, and again, I understand why he wouldn't. I'm not saying I don't get that part. I get that part. I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan, but I'm a New York Jets fan first.
I am too.
And if Aaron Glenn looks at him and thinks, listen, you're going to pretty much be against the culture we're trying to build because we're a loser franchise. We've got a loser mentality. It can't be about the players. It has to be about the team. You have to be willing to sacrifice to show that you're for the team, the way you want to do things. There can't be a contradiction. You and I both know when we've had sergeant majors or we have freaking officers who are not on the same page in the military context, how that can go. Because you and I both know sergeant major is going to get our attention. The officer is going to go ahead and obviously freaking get us in trouble, put us in our place, can make life miserable. But we're going to follow Sergeant Major. Sergeant Major tells us what he wants done. This is the same concept for me. I think Aaron Glenn is a new officer in charge. You got freaking Aaron Rodgers, who's the Sergeant Major. He's that dude, right? Everyone on that team's looking at the Sergeant Major like, hey, what do you want us to do? And if it's not in lockstep with freaking the OIC, it's going to cause a rift. It's not going to work out. I believe wholeheartedly that's what they saw. And I think Aaron Rodgers also said, like, this ain't for me. It ain't going to work out. I don't think it was just them saying, like, oh, you're done. You're not going to be here. I think once they stated, like, this is what we need from you. This is what we expect from you. He sat back and said, like, bitch, I'm Aaron Rodgers. If you can't do it my way, then so be it. And I think that's what caused the rift. I don't believe that the situation.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. I don't want you to get too far away from this.
No, go ahead.
No, because here's my point. Okay. Why is it that Glenn is Sergeant Major?
No.
Glenn is coming in Glenn is Butterbars.
Is that? Oh, I see. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. 100%. Okay. Now I got the analogy.
Yeah.
Butterbars has no idea what he's doing. Butterbars has never led a team before.
A lot of Sergeant Majors don't know what they're doing either.
Totally. But we're not talking about. You and I both know. A sergeant major that was just like, dude, who did you sleep with to get here? You're a dude. I know. Like, it does not make sense that you're higher ranked than I am. We've both run into that situation.
Facts.
I've stared down an E5 and E6, and I've been like, make it make sense to me how you got promoted. Especially because I was a corpsman, so it was incredibly hard to get promoted.
That's fair.
Right? It's hard. How are you the guy? I know, not me, but who are better than you. This assumption, because this is the whole thing. I think you're right that Aaron came in, Rodgers came in hesitant. But you know what showed me, at least, that he was willing to maybe capitulate? Is the fact that he flew in on his private jet. It wasn't Woody. It wasn't any of those things. And so, like, again, it comes down, like, ultimately, the decision has been made. And the repercussions that are coming, I don't think people are ready for. I don't think that people are ready for it. And the spot that we're in now is in a situation where I would have, the comments that Rodgers made also, like in interviews and things like that, I'd be willing to give money back. I've made enough money in my life. He said that in December. I'd be willing to hang out and teach a young quarterback if that's what this team needed me to do. Those things matter. And we've seen the blueprint before. And I think too many people are hung up on this. Well, nope, you need to get into a rebuild. You need to get Rodgers out, the cap situation, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, you can have both things. You can have a veteran quarterback come in and the cap situation not be a disaster. Those things, both of those things can exist. They're not because ultimately this is my biggest fear. This is where this is all coming from. We're at 7 in this draft class.
Yep.
And the Titans want out of 1. My biggest fear is that one of these bums, because that's what this draft class is.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's
Quarterback-wise, it's
bums.
Yeah, no, there's no argument there.
But we put ourselves in a situation.
We won't.
Darren Muji did it last year, dude, for a guy that I liked Bo Nix. But so many people didn't, and they moved up for Bo Nix. And Bo Nix, not on my list, but Bo Nix for a lot of people's list wasn't a first rounder. And then he got taken at what, 13?
Yeah. And I'll tell you this right now, I don't believe for a second they're looking at Saunders, or they're looking at
reports already
Ward.
came out that they're all in on Sanders.
I don't believe
Lucina said it.
I don't believe it. Don't believe it. And you know why I
But
don't
you're
believe
gonna
it?
believe that the GMs, like, this is my
Because
point,
it's but the thing is though, it's not just Josina. It was 3 different reporters that stated the same thing. So Josina says that they're all in on Sanders. Honestly, I think right now Deion is doing everything he can to get to specific media markets to hype up his son. I don't think his son is a first rounder. I don't think
either.
He's not worth the event. I have a hard time believing that we've got a head coach who has a scouting background. We have a GM with a scouting background. We've got an offensive coordinator that did some scouting. That they're going to look at freaking Sanders and think like, yeah, this slow guy with mediocre arm strength that played on freaking
quarterbacks reach.
You don't reach in this draft when you look at next season and you're like, damn.
Gotta get to next season, my guy.
You're right, which is why you bring in Justin Fields, you bring in Kirk Cousins, you bring in freaking Derek Carr. I don't care who you bring in. You bring in some free agent to go ahead and play this season. And I think Jets fans need to get behind this idea. I think what we need to do is realize that this season's gonna suck. I think Aaron Rodgers gave us the best chance to maybe make the playoffs. But I'm sitting here telling you, I don't believe Aaron Rodgers is going to take us to the Super Bowl. He wasn't. And if it's not the Super Bowl, then what's the point? We're roasting the Miami Dolphins consistently because they're hyped up about freaking making it to the playoffs, being one and done. You didn't belong. You snuck in. I don't want to make it to the playoffs and think, hell yeah, successful season. If you tell me you can build a culture and identity and the Jets win 7 or 8 games this season, identifying who the hell they are as a unit, and next season, what do you mean? How do you know?
That's going to do that? Who's the quarterback that's going to do that?
The quarterback doesn't always set the tone. That's not the case. Sam Darnold just took the Minnesota Vikings to the playoffs.
Yeah, because they were incredibly well coached. Kevin O'Connell is the best coach in the NFL, according to voters.
So then we're going to see exactly what freaking Aaron Glen's about. And I'm not expecting him to go ahead and take us to the freaking AFC Championship game. But if Aaron Glen shows up competent football week in and week out, where we can watch the New York Jets and realize, like, damn, these boys didn't quit this game. Because we can't say that the last couple of years.
Salah,
we as
year
Jets
one?
fans, we've watched this
Not
team
year one,
quit.
year two?
We've watched this team quit numerous times over the last couple of years. It's disgusting. It's gross. Where we're sitting there like, where's the effort? And if the defense did their thing, the offense wasn't doing their thing. If you're showing me that we're going to be a team that scores freaking 17 points a game, the defense is a top 10 unit, the offense is a top 20 unit, but every single game they're showing us they're that unit, I'm looking at that as a win. Now, am I hopeful that Aaron Glen can come into this building and by some magical situation take this Jets to the playoffs? Because I'm with you 100%. I don't think the Broncos got a guy. I don't think Bo Nix is a dude. I don't. But somehow, some way, he did just enough with a well-coached team to not fuck up and get them to the playoffs. I think the Jets can do that in an AFC right now that does not look as formidable as it once did. The NFC by far has taken leaps and bounds ahead of where we thought we were. Jaden Daniels is going to be a problem in the league. Jalen Hurts, going to be a problem in the league. They've got some dogs on that side of the ball. So for me, I look at this season as it's going to be painful. And it didn't have to be. It did not have to be. Aaron Rodgers would have probably allowed us the best opportunity to make it to the playoffs. But I promise you, Jets fans, if you can convince yourself that somehow, some way he was going to take us to the Super Bowl, I don't know what to tell you.
Gunny, I don't think you can say that he can make it to the playoffs, but then he can't take us to the Super Bowl. I don't think that you can say that because I don't think a single person could legitimately look at the Commanders roster and say that they were going to make an NFC championship game. And if the Eagles weren't the best built football team in the history,
Studs.
I'm going to take it back. The best built sports team in the history of athletics.
Yeah, studs all across the board.
In this universe and any universe, known and unknown, the Philadelphia Eagles are perfect.
They're stacked
compared
across
to them.
the board.
So let's take 31 other teams. All have massive, massive holes. Massive holes. The Kansas City Chiefs don't have an O-line or pass catchers who aren't dating Taylor Swift. The Buffalo Bills also don't really have any pass catchers either. We don't know what Keon Coleman is, but they do have an O-line and a run game. Every team who is making it into this situation.
You're saying it wrong. You're saying it wrong. Every team that made it into the playoffs this year had a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Every single one.
Let me ask you this question. Wins are a quarterback stat?
Yes.
So Joe Burrow's a bad quarterback because he didn't get wins, even though he outthrew everybody in the NFL. Out-touchdowned everybody.
That is an anomaly. You and I both know it, but I would say yes.
Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels, who's better?
Jaden Daniels by far.
Okay, they had the same stats.
No, they did not have the same
stats. They did. They're almost identical. They're off by a couple yards. Go look it up. They're almost
Patrick Mahomes and freaking Aaron Rodgers have the same stats.
Exactly, Gunny. That's exactly the point. Coaching matters. The stats and those things don't point to wins. Patrick Mahomes just got the opportunity to get blown out in the Super Bowl throwing like Aaron Rodgers behind a worse offensive line and a worse
well played, Tigo. Well fucking
wide receiver core. And it was just on Patrick Mahomes' own. Patrick had to pull magic out of his booty hole every game. And I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers is Patrick Mahomes. He's not. But you know what Aaron Rodgers on the New York Jets would have that Patrick Mahomes on the Kansas City Chiefs didn't have? Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams and Tet McMillan at 7, possibly. He didn't have a single pass catcher as good as any of those guys. And I liked Xavier Worthy, but he's not. He's not Garrett Wilson.
No,
he's not Devontae Adams.
He's not.
You know what the Kansas City Chiefs don't have? Breece freaking Hall and Braylon Allen. But they just made a Super Bowl.
All right, you know what? I'm going to give you that, Tigo. Very rarely do you get on my show and you make me sit back and think, damn, now you've got that's a point.
I'm not saying that Aaron was going to win a Super Bowl. Please don't be. That's not the point.
But what I'm saying is
get to the playoffs and then you got a chance.
But the thing is this, though, we're freaking out as a fan base because we have no clue what to expect moving forward, right? You yourself just stated that coaching matters so much, and I do believe this Jets team has a ton of talent. You're not wrong about that. I think it's one of the more talented rosters that would have made the playoffs. Other than the Eagles, like you said, they are perfection. Like they are what you.
The Eagles this year.
No. And I think next year is going to be. It goes through the NFC goes through those guys.
Yeah, they run it back.
But everybody else got their holes, got their issues, got their situations, and the Jets, I think, in terms of key positions, had dogs in key positions.
Mm-hmm.
Coaching definitely hurt us this year. I was on board saying that I think if we had competent coaching, we were at 9-10 wins. I believe that to this day. But Aaron Rodgers is going into year 41. He's going to be 41 years old. Mm-hmm. He did not look like himself this season. I get it. He threw for 3,800 yards. He threw for 28 touchdowns.
Back 6 games, he led us in rushing, dude.
I get it, man. But
He led us in
do
and we have
think,
Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, and that's
Okay.
not coaching?
Okay. Do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to adjust the fact that the offense is not going to be what he's done the last freaking 15 years? We are going into the 21st century and going to take that lightly. Because, again, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying he has no talent. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers can't still play football. I'm talking about the key component of buy-in. Aaron Rodgers, to me,
we can't meet in the middle for 1 year.
that's the question you got to ask Aaron Rodgers. Because I believe
but I'm also going to ask that to Glenn. Did Glenn even give that opportunity?
Why would you bring him in? Why would you tell us in your press conference that you're talking to him if you already knew you were going to go ahead and cut the dude? I believe, again,
to make
as I said it the first time,
to make it look good and sell it to a fan base. You got to sell things to a fan base. You can't just make decisions like that.
We cannot pretend like Aaron Rodgers is not Aaron Rodgers and that he would not be self-entitled.
No, I'm not.
We can't pretend that.
No.
Aaron, I do.
But we also can't argue that Glenn is that. Glenn has not shown us that.
Who have you heard from about Aaron Glenn? From players, from other coaches? This guy is a guy who's focused on winning, the best decision possible to go ahead and win games. You've heard that from everyone. Not just Glenn.
Yeah, totally. But you also know that he's a Parcells guy, right?
Yep.
And do you remember what Parcells said about quarterbacks?
Yes.
You don't think that plays into it? You don't think Parcells, who literally was on the phone with him before he got the job, wasn't in that conversation and in his ear? We know that Spielman doesn't like Rodgers, and he's a part of the hiring process. We've already got all the reports of Woody, and I showed you the thing where Woody wanted everybody gone. He just wanted to sell the team. I wish he would.
I wish he would. That would be great.
I wish he would too. It would be fantastic. Sell it to Gary V. We'd win a Super Bowl in 2 years.
Gary
V was the
100%, 1,000%.
2 years.
Gary, if you watch this show somehow, do what you gotta do, man. Get the Jets, because I do believe Gary V would lead us to the promised land within a couple of years.
2 years.
That dude, he loves football. He loves the Jets. He's a fan like us with the means to buy it if he wanted to. Yeah. Get this team away from freaking Woody Johnson, and I think you see great things. But Connor Long here, my boy Connor, what's good, brother? Appreciate you, man, for the comment. He is a 1-month member of the channel. Again, if you're a member of the New York Jets Situation Report, part of the Fire Team, you do have individual giveaways that you're a part of. Every quarter, I try to go ahead and do one. But yeah, you got access to more giveaways if, of course, you're a channel member. He goes, so happy Aaron is gone. Don't want to pay 41-year-old $40 million next season, who was bottom 10 QB, Tyrod Pickett, Hooker, 2025. And I think this is where
I just saw that quarterback list.
Listen, I think now the biggest question mark about Tyrod is not whether or not he can put up Aaron Rodgers' numbers. We've actually seen the comparables. He can't do it. The big concern for him is, can he stay healthy? Can Tyrod Taylor give you a full season? That is the only question mark.
I'd sign up for that. If that's the plan, if you can guarantee me that Tyrod's going to get 17 games, we get 9 games next year. Totally. I'm on board.
Agreed. Tyrod Taylor.
We both know he's going to get 3 games, and then a gust of wind is going to knock him out.
I say maybe 5. Let's not forget the last time he didn't make it. He got the punctured lung thing from the. He's also one of the most unlucky quarterbacks I've ever heard of too. The fact that they went through his rib cage, fucked up his lungs, and anyway, I digress. I'm gonna go. He gives us 5 games. I don't think he's gonna do a full season either. I don't. But in terms of talent, I do believe that. No, let me make sure I clarify this. I don't believe Tyrod Taylor is Aaron Rodgers level talent.
In terms of ability right now.
In terms of ability right now. In the current Aaron Rodgers at 41 years old and Tyrod Taylor, I think you can get similar production, except you get some more rushing statistics from a Tyrod Taylor. But he can't stay healthy. He can't stay healthy. The guy can't stay healthy. He hasn't done it in what, 5 years? 6 years? So
and like, here's the thing with this list, right? Tyrod. We know we're going to get 3.5 games out of him, and then he's done for the season.
Yeah, I don't want Pickett.
Pickett can't play in cold weather, and he sucks, and he can't play in cold weather.
It's not
and
good.
What do they even make Super Bowl rings that small? Like, is he going to have to wear it around his neck?
My son is 9, and I think they have the same hand size.
Like
so tiny.
Dude, I have a 2-year-old who can grip the Duke better than Kenny Pickett. And then Hendon Hooker. Oh, he's been on the Detroit Lions for the last 3 years. Dude, they got Teddy Bridgewater to stop coaching high school football to be the backup coach in the playoffs. Come on,
now that's concerning.
Dude.
Okay, so let's with Hendon Hooker, that is concerning. The concerning component, the aspect is why would they not just play him by pulling Teddy Bridgewater out of retirement to come?
They had
That
to pay
was
him a
very
salary,
concerning.
an
It was very
NFL
concerning.
salary. That's money.
But Hernan Hooker was a 3rd-round draft pick, and the only reason he was a 3rd-rounder was because of the injury.
No, it wasn't.
He was projected. Bro, you're crazy. Hernan Hooker freaking had a stellar freaking career in Tennessee.
Yeah, so did freaking
What do
Tim
you-
Tebow, dude. Tim Tebow
Hey,
was
Tim Tebow
fantastic
was a first
at
rounder.
Florida.
Though. He was a 1st-rounder.
Yeah,
he got
he shouldn't have
drafted
been.
by your boy Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been.
I
Like-
know that. You know
Like,
that.
you know, like we all, you know who else was a 1st-round pick? Shouldn't have been a 1st-round pick? Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson. Like, what? Who was 1st round?
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you, man.
And then let's look on the opposite side. You know who probably shouldn't have been the last pick in the draft? Probably should have gone in the 3rd round. Looking back at it, Brock Purdy. You know who shouldn't have gone in the 2nd? Jalen Hurts. You know who probably should have gone top of the 1st? Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Why are we acting like this isn't a lottery here?
Listen,
Hendon Hooker. I got
This
to
is
watch
why-
that head coach. I go to UCF, or I did. I
This
saw that
is-
head coach.
this is why I want Justin Fields.
Kill me now.
I want Justin Fields.
Oh.
I want him. I want Justin Fields because in my
more
in my
melanin,
mind,
slightly
in
more
my
athletic
mind,
Zach Wilson.
I've convinced myself that Justin Fields just needs the right opportunity with the right coaching, a real supporting cast, and then he can give us a Sam Darnold-like performance or a Geno Smith-like performance. I believe Justin Fields can be that guy.
Are we?
with-
Are we
with
now?
more
Are we
elite
now
traits.
saying that Tomlin's a bad head coach?
I'm
Is that
saying
what we're getting? Is that what we're to now?
I'm saying Tomlin hasn't been the guy who knows what a quarterback looks like after other than Ben Roethlisberger. If we're being honest, Tomlin has not known what a quarterback is supposed to do or looks like.
He's had 2
since
shots at it. If we're being fair.
Exactly, bro, and it is what it is.
And
He's a
but
great
here's
coach.
here's my fear, Gunny. Here's my fear is that we're gonna be in a Tomlin situation because
No, no,
instead
no,
of
no, no.
taking
No.
taking
Our
a bridge
GM,
quarterback
our
and getting us to
general manager
2026.
Was a quarterback in college. He started off as a scout. He knows what it takes to be a good quarterback. Our
Dude,
general manager is
Tomlin
going to
has
be
a
the
ring and
saving grace.
has never had a losing season. We
He
want to talk
hasn't.
accolades.
I would.
I
love
don't care that he's knocked out. He hasn't had a playoff win in 8 years. Who cares? And Wildwave, like I agree with you. That's not the point. But the point comes back to, do you really think that anyone in their right mind wanted Kenny Tiny Hands Pickett
Pickett?
to be their franchise quarterback?
No.
Nah, bro.
I
They
laughed at
moved
that
on
pick.
from
I
Big
laughed.
Ben 2 years too late. And then here's another one. This is why I'm so gung. This is another reason why I'm so gung ho on the Rodgers thing is because he's the perfect bridge quarterback. He could be, ironically, our Tyrod Taylor to Glen's McDermott of the Buffalo Bills, but the actual New York team, not Canada's team. Because Tyrod played a year under McDermott, got them to the playoffs, got bounced out, and then they said, look, Tyrod's not the guy, but we knew that. We kind of just wanted to get to this draft class. And then they got Josh Allen, and now we all have to do 5 or 6 Hail Marys a day to hope that the Buffalo Bills don't win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen.
Look,
Because it can't happen.
Bills,
It can't happen. It can't happen.
Listen
They
to
can't
me.
win a Super Bowl.
Listen to me. Josh Allen is probably the most cursed athlete on earth because he's a monster, bro. Like it sucks to have to sit here and say this. That dude carried a team with no talent. Well, him and Cook were pretty much the offense.
The whole offense.
The whole offense carried them to the AFC Championship game.
And then still
almost
almost
beat the Chiefs. If all he needed was Dalton Kincaid to just catch the fucking ball. Miracle fucking unreal throw. Catch the ball, bitch. Just help me one time. One time, show up. And they were like, nah, we're good. Hey, you're a Bills, man. You're gonna fucking
I
catch this
agree
out.
with. I agree with. They weren't
Josh-
going to beat the Eagles,
They're
but like,
no, they wouldn't have, but they would have made the Super Bowl. They would have
no,
made the Super
totally,
Bowl,
totally.
and they would have probably put up more of a fight too than the Chiefs did, if we're being honest.
But the whole point of bringing him up is why can't Glen be our McDermott? Why can't Rodgers be our Tyrod?
What do you
People
mean?
talk
Why
about-
do we need? Why do we need Rodgers to be Tyrod when we actually have Tyrod?
Because
We
a
can-
gusty
we have the
wind is
same-
going to to kill him. He
Look,
should be put in a
What
glass
if
box.
this is the year that he puts it all together and lasts the full season. Imagine
Gunny,
this.
I
Tyrod
also
Taylor
would like to wake up with $1 billion in my bank account. We both know.
That's
I would
extreme.
also
Tyrod
love
making a full season is more like winning $1 million in your bank
Gunny,
account.
you and I have both seen a new Butter Bars come in, and we were all thinking maybe this one will be different, and they never were. Okay,
Hey,
it's military
I had
intelligence.
one.
It's an
Freddie
oxymoron.
Perez.
Tyrod and Helvey
Hey, if you're
don't
out
go
there,
in the same.
Colonel, I think it's Colonel Perez now. So my boy Freddie Perez, he was an OIC that came into freaking the Paraloft when I was in Havelock, North Carolina, and this is the guy that put me on the smart path of getting promotions. I thought the physical component was the biggest thing you needed in the Marine Corps to go ahead and showcase your skill set. Nah, this man told me like, yeah, it's cute. Every Marine can run, every Marine can shoot, every Marine can fight. But what you do academically is going to go ahead and set you apart. Put yourself in these situations to go to college, get some coursework. Hey, big brother freaking Freddie Perez, I know you're a big dog now, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're leading things in Japan. But that was an OIC when things came in, and it took all of freaking a week for us in the Paraloft to be like, oh, shit, things are about to get good. And they did.
How many
great.
Colonel Perez's exist?
There's like 3 of them in a lifetime.
There's 3 of them in a lifetime of the entire military,
Glen,
my guy. You know what I mean?
Aaron Glen could be one of those 3. That's what I want to believe. I want to believe that. I want to believe Aaron Glen.
Dude, I do too.
Because, again, Freddie Perez was so great because he was enlisted prior to going to freaking officer route. Mustang. And Aaron Glen was a player before he became a coach. He was on a scout. He was on a shitty team before he came to another shitty team to go have a great. I'm looking at that and thinking to myself, there's got to be value in that because you've seen what shitty looks like and you've seen what right looks like and you've connected the dots on how to get there on the same team. So for me, it's why I'm like, I gotta believe that he's smart enough because I believe he's seen it and he's done it. The ability to be smart. He's seen it and he's done it. Can you do that here? And the fact that he decided to go this route with Aaron Rodgers, again, if the reports are true, I think that tells me like, damn it, man, we got an adult in the building. He's going to make adult decisions because that's the tough decision. No, totally. It is. Because right now you've got the fan base split in terms of like, what I don't think it's even split. Doing?
I wouldn't care.
No, I think it is.
Okay, you're right. No, but I think like my thing is like I wouldn't care if Rodgers was gone, if there was like a clear path at quarterback. Like if this, let's say 2025 was the 2026 class.
26
and we said, you know what though? We're moving. I'd be like, yeah, totally. I get it. No, I get it. Clean break. Let's start over. Let's go get our guy.
So for you, it's the fear factor.
My thing is, it's not just the fear factor because I am totally fine. I'm not fine. I hate the fact that we're barreling down another 4 or 5 win season because we can't even tank properly. That's because I know Aaron Glen and the type of guy that he is, he's not going to accept tanking. He's not going to tank for he's not going to what's going to be the thing? What's an M word that also is a synonym for losing? So like, whatever for Manning, you know what I mean? Because this is like, just roll over and die for Manning. We're not even going to be able to tank the right way, right? I know that's going to be us, but like my whole thing is that my biggest fear, and I'm cool. We can move up and we can, because I don't think the Patriots are going to be all that good. They'll be in the top of the draft board. I don't think like there are going to be teams that are going to have quarterbacks that aren't going to be all that good at the top of the draft board. Besides the point. I think my biggest fear is Aaron Glen comes from a Parcells background and just came from Detroit, a city and a team that was, in my opinion, the epitome of what Parcells football would look like in the modern age because they don't have a superstar quarterback. Jared Goff is not a very good quarterback.
No.
He's just good.
He's average.
Yeah. And that team elevates him. It's not the other way around. He just doesn't hold them back. That team elevates him. Helps having the best, this probably the second best O-line in football. This is a different conversation for a different podcast entirely. We saw that. And that's one half of our decision making is a guy who came from a Parcells tree, believes that you don't need a superstar quarterback to win because you don't need a superstar quarterback to win. Saw that. And then another guy from a different organization who is friends with our head coach, who just went up and traded for a guy that I think a lot of people would argue isn't a superstar, because I don't think Bo Nix is a superstar. I think he's Jared Goff. I think he's an average quarterback. I think he's good. I think he can operate an NFL offense. That's what I think. And we're going to look at Cam Ward. Then we're going to look at Shedeur Sanders and be like, yeah, these guys aren't superstars. Maybe not Shedeur. Please not Shedeur. I don't want all the drama with Dion. And
I'd rather deal with Cam Ward than Shedeur.
Totally.
If it had to be that, yeah.
On the same page. And that we're going to be in a situation where, well, we're going to have to give up this year's 1 to go get Cam, because you're not getting Cam at 7. And then you're going to have to give up next year's 1 to go get Cam. And then are you going to have to give up this year's 2 to go get Cam? And like, that's because like, as much as I like Cam and I think he's quarterback 1 in this class, I don't think he's a top. I don't think he's a top 15 pick.
Nope.
I don't think he's a top 20 pick.
Nope.
But we all know what quarterbacks do. They shoot up the boards. Zach wasn't the number 2 overall pick. We know now. He went number 2 overall. Trey Lance was the 3rd overall pick.
Because the freaking 49ers were trying to get him. Don't forget that part.
Totally. They wanted us to take Justin Fields. They wanted us to fumble the bag.
Which probably would have been as bad or whatever.
No, we would have given Justin Fields more run because at least he's athletic.
Yeah, yeah.
But I didn't like Justin Fields coming out of that draft. I think his throwing mechanics are whack.
I thought Justin Fields was the second best guy in that draft class. I had it. Trevor Lawrence was the best person in terms of ability, and Zach had the biggest ceiling. And I like drafting ceiling. Yeah, if you're in the top, I like taking swings. Like if we're going to be bad, just take a swing and see what's going to happen. I like elite traits. And you looked at Justin Fields, and you knew he at least brought the elite scrambling ability at the quarterback position.
Yeah, but he couldn't throw the ball.
And he also had big-time pressure situations where he elevated his game. I like that about him in terms of being able to come in. Because, again, people say that about freaking Lamar Jackson. People say that about freaking Josh Allen. Those guys
but Lamar's problem was always accuracy. Josh Allen's problem was always accuracy. They weren't mechanically broken. Justin Fields is mechanically broken.
Josh Allen wasn't mechanically broken. He was literally throwing with his upper body. He did not have a proper technique in terms of footwork. He didn't have proper technique in terms of...
Neither did Mahomes. But what I'm saying is those are things... His throwing motion wasn't broken. Not like his lower body mechanics. I'm saying, watch how Justin Fields throws the ball. That is a direct correlation to why he's not accurate. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, the reason they weren't accurate is because they were just all here, dude. They were just all wrist. They didn't get their whole body into it. That's an easy fix because you just teach somebody how to add something to something that's already working. Fixing something, you and I, you're older than I am, but like you and I have habits that we've built up forever that are incredibly hard to undo. Let me ask you this question. How long have you been out of the Marine Corps?
It's 5 years now.
5 years.
Yeah.
Do you still stand at ease?
I do. I'll be sitting. I'll be having conversations at work, and I'll go at ease. Yeah.
Because
it's ingrained
in
us.
4 years, I did nothing but stand at parade rest. Nothing but stand at parade. Yes. Yeah. Parade ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you, when you respond to somebody, this might be just because we're respectful human beings.
Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Still yes or no, ma'am.
Yep. It is.
That's ingrained. And that is something that'll never go away because we did it for so long.
That's fair.
And that's the thing is fixing something. Dude, he's been throwing a football since he was 8.
Yep.
Fixing where that elbow goes, that's impossible. That's why Carson Wentz failed. Carson Wentz failed because of his throwing motion. And because he's kind of a dick, but that's a different... You can be a dick and win. Tom Brady proved that.
But you can't be a dick and suck. You can't do both.
Yeah,
you can't do both. So Bomber goes, it's a new era. Sanders and Ward won't be better than Dart. That's my opinion. Now, Dart has been somebody that's been like pulling up on a lot of freaking draft boards. I did watch some tape on Dart, man, and I don't know about you, man, but this is a kid, strong arm, quick release. He's very athletic. Decision making is questionable, right? He's got to go ahead and get that taken care of. And I think that in terms of competition he's played, he's shown the ability to elevate his game to compete at the highest levels of the SEC. So I actually like Jackson Dart. I think that Dart, you know what I'm saying, if he's available in the second somehow, I doubt he will be. you go ahead and you take the chance on a guy like Dart. I think he might be the guy with the highest ceiling in this draft class if you can go ahead and tweak some of those concerns. What do you think about any? Well, okay, who's your first highest ceiling guy?
Jalen Milroe is the definition of
See,
boomer
I
bust.
feel like he needs more work. I feel like
No,
he's
totally.
Fields
No,
2.0.
he needs 2 years. No, he's not fundamentally like his throwing motion. His throwing motion
man,
is actually
a lot of
spot
upper
on.
body, a lot of upper body stuff, man. Like
No, totally. I'm not saying that Jalen Milroe. What I'm saying is in terms of guy that can actually be high level NFL quarterbacks in this, like in terms of like projected ceilings. I think Jalen Milroe has the highest ceiling of the guys in this class. Ironically, also has the lowest floor.
That's the thing. Okay,
that's the difference. That's the thing. I'm not saying like
that's accurate.
Highest ceiling, lowest floor. And that's why I'm not a Jalen Milroe fan.
Yeah,
is because not
since
for us. Zach Wilson,
not for us because we
totally.
don't know how to develop quarterbacks. I know we got different coaching staff.
Perfect spot for if they can get him. Detroit. Jared Goff's not going to stay in Detroit forever.
He won't.
If you draft Jalen Milroe and have him sit for 3 years, Jared Goff's getting up there. You're not going to keep paying him. Like that's a perfect spot for him because he's going to sit for a long time. That's the whole thing. Going back to Dart, I am not a Dart guy. And the reason I'm not a Dart guy is because there are in the same session of tape, you will see one throw where you're like, this is teach tape. I'm going to save this. I've got 2 boys. I'm going to show them this
what
throw.
not to do. Yeah.
No. Like I'm going to show them this throw because this was perfect. He saw the pressure. He stepped up in the pocket. He got his hips involved. Front foot is facing where he wants it. But twerk, the twist, and he just puts everything into it. And ball is on a rope right in the receiver's hands. And that receiver had 2.5 square inches of open. Like that's the whole thing, right? And then the very next play in the same situation, he'll throw it right at somebody else wearing the opposite jersey. Like
inconsistency. He's very inconsistent.
And my philosophy now is variability goes against the prospect. If you can show me the highest of highs and the lowest of lows in the same drive, that's gonna be a knock against you because ultimately in the NFL, consistency matters more than star power. We all saw Zach Wilson roll right, tell what's his name, Corey Davis, go.
Yeah.
No, don't stop. Go. I got this. And
launched it.
And touchdown. We all saw that.
That was beautiful.
Zach Wilson, according to Google, still has the fastest thrown football record. It's like 69 miles an hour. He did it at practice. Yeah. Jordan Love, ironically, has the fastest thrown football in a game. That's a different conversation. I don't believe that at all. Jordan Love.
No.
Yep.
What?
Look it up.
Really?
Fastest thrown football in an NFL game is Jordan Love. He did it this year. 61.96 miles an hour. I don't believe it.
I have a hard time believing that.
I have a very hard time.
There was a malfunction in that GPS.
Yeah, the radar gun's broken. Somebody go check it. I've gotten out of enough speeding tickets to know that you need to regularly,
calibrate that thing.
Calibrate those things.
Yeah, there's no way.
But going back to this year's draft class, variability counts against the prospect in my mind. Jackson Dart, while intriguing, has too much variability in his game. And I don't want to be in a position. You either go and get Cam Ward if that's your plan. I'm not a big fan of it, but if that's your plan, go get Cam Ward.
Right.
Or you don't touch a quarterback in this class. And the reason is I'm not going to pass up on Patrick Mahomes because we have Hackenberg. 2026 is the class.
It's the class.
Get to 2026.
Yep.
Don't pass on Arch Manning because you have Jackson Dart. I'd be more willing to be like a Jackson Dart guy if we kept Rodgers. Because now he's going to sit. Jackson Dart needs to sit. I'd be more in on Milroe if we sat Rodgers, if we still had Rodgers.
But what makes you believe that Tyrod Taylor couldn't be that guy?
Because you can't. Here's the thing. You draft Jackson Dart, if you draft Jalen Milroe, your fan base, and this matters because Woody runs his team based on what Twitter tells him, your fan base is more willing to give Aaron the benefit of the doubt. it'll take longer for the bench Aaron Rodgers chance to happen, to come to fruition, assuming, let's say, everything goes bad for Aaron Rodgers if he were to come back, which we know he's not, than if Tyrod Taylor goes out there and in the first drive throws an interception, the stadium is going to start clamoring for Jackson Dart. That's a problem. That's why I don't think you can have both. And because we know Tyrod Taylor is going to give you 3 3/4 football games. And then, well, he's right back in the mix. So that is my way about it. You either go all in for Sanders or Ward. Please be Ward if that's what you're doing. Or don't take a quarterback at all. Don't put yourself in a position to where you have one throw where you're like, no, baby, this kid's got it. We can double down and we can just build the rest of this team. And he very clearly doesn't have it. Don't pass Patrick Mahomes up because you have Hackenberg.
We got Truman with what free agent quarterback is the best bridge quarterback for realistically and logically. Honestly, for me, I think that Kirk Cousins and Jameis Winston. Yep, I think Kirk Cousins and Jameis Winston. I think Kirk Cousins is going to find his way out of Atlanta. I don't think he's going to go ahead and stick around there. And it could be a very similar situation to what we've just encountered with the Broncos and Russell Wilson. And you can get him for cheap. He's 36, 37 years old, a year removed from that not the ACL, but the Achilles tear. There was a report that came out.
Just keep Rodgers.
Cheaper. I think cost comes a lot with this too, and Kirk Cousins is not nowhere near as polarizing as an Aaron Rodgers. I think that's the biggest component, man. Like, a lot of us aren't looking at the fact that Aaron Rodgers is a huge shadow. Like, he really is. Like, this isn't. He's just a massive presence, and you're trying to go ahead and rebuild this team, and that massive presence is going to have sway, whether it be with the media, with the team, with the fan base, as we're clearly seeing right now. And I could look at this coaching staff and this freaking GM and this young group of coaches and whatnot and thinking to themselves, look, we want to do this. This is the direction we want to go. Aaron Rodgers may not see it eye to eye. This could be a problem. And again, I can understand why they would want to go ahead and make their decision. So again, like Kirk Cousins is like you said, he's average now. He's probably average now. You bring him in, he's less polarizing. You know what I'm saying? He's a very excitable guy. But I think Jameis Winston also would be exciting. Personally, I think it'd be fun to have Jameis Winston in the building.
Totally. If you get Jameis Winston, you get a camera crew to follow him the whole time, and I want an episode every Monday.
I want to see one. I want to see.
We're not going to win very many games with Jameis Winston, but at least let me have fun.
Entertaining.
Let me have fun. I want the Jameis Winston show. Yeah, I think honestly he should retire and just have a camera follow him around. And I would watch that show. I'd pay a monthly subscription.
A monthly to watch.
You give me 2 episodes a week. I'd pay $4.99. I'd do it.
Whatever.
Jameis Winston is one of the best human people in football.
Because he's genuine, man. He's just been genuine from beginning to end. He's just himself. Yeah, dude is just himself.
Eat the W.
Love Jameis. Man. All right, I told you it's going to be a short show. Here we are going an hour and 20 minutes, and I got to be up in the morning to get on the jet to go to where am I going? Odessa. Oh man. All right. So in a nutshell, you and I guess see this thing a little differently. I think it makes a lot of sense.
You run my situation right now. I think that's the biggest thing. I think you're looking at it through like a hope, like there's hope for the future.
It's all
and
I
my
got.
whole thing is just like, and totally, and I'll get there. Give me time.
all I got,
Give me time. Right? The Stockholm syndrome will kick in. Just give me a couple weeks. I'll be right there with you. You know what I mean? But it's just the fear of we're gonna go trade 3 first-round picks to go get Cam Ward, and Quinnen's gonna ask to be traded because he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild, and Garrett's gonna ask to be traded because he's not gonna want to be a part of a rebuild. And there goes Sherwood. I've been pounding the table for Sherwood for 4 years that he should be starting over CJ Mosley. And when he finally does and he finally shows up, all right, Atlanta, I guess go. Dom C's son can now root for an ex-Jet. And like, that's where I'm at. It's just fear that these players that are so freaking good that we built so much, we put so much of our blood, sweat, and tears into like believing in these guys, and we still do
year in and year out. Yep.
Year in and year out are just gonna get up, walk away, and like I said it before, my biggest thing is just like what happens like when Garrett Wilson is in a Houston jersey next year? What happens when Quinnen is in a Cardinals jersey next year and they're both in the playoffs and we're sitting here twiddling our thumbs because somebody believed that Justin Fields was an NFL quarterback? And it's just like, this is what we're doing again. We're back here. And I just have a hard time looking past that. I have a hard time looking past, like, Woody's not a good owner. He's not patient. I don't think he's going to give Glen time. And if the first year fails, 15 years is going to turn into 18 years. 18 years is going to turn into 25 years. And that's where I'm at right now. That's my biggest fear.
And I look at it like, I look at our head coach, I look at our general manager. Both of those guys have gotten to where they're at right now, starting off in the scouting realm. And I think that when you look at these guys, you don't want to go ahead and bet your careers on the backs of a Cam Ward or a Shedeur Sanders. If it's so obvious to us as a fan base, hell, half the GMs have already kind of come out and said Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders didn't even have first-round grades on them. So, like, I feel like I have to believe we got guys who can actually see talent. And they realize, like, yeah, those guys. But the thing is this, though. I think the reason why Aaron Glenn took this job is because Woody Johnson's going to be put in this place.
I hope
the fact that Woody came out and said, I have to be a better owner. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to go ahead and stay in the back. It's positive signs. Like you said, right? He listens to Twitter, and we've all been screaming, sell the team, you bum. You don't understand how to just stay out of the way. I'm hoping that has impacted his thought process and his foresight. If he stays out of the way, which I think with what he's told us thus far, again, maybe being naive perhaps, he's going to stay out of the way. This is Aaron Glenn's show. This is freaking Moogie's show. And if that's the case, there's no way those guys draft or trade assets to get those guys. If somehow Cam Ward falls to us in 7 and they go Cam Ward, a different conversation.
Totally
all
different.
Right, let's see what happens. But for me, if I had my way, you go ahead and get Tet, the wide receiver out of Arizona, because after freaking Devontae, if Rodgers is gone, that means Devontae is gone. We already know we're not bringing back Jordy Nelson. You bring Garrett Wilson in with Tet. You got some stud wide receivers at the 1 and the 2. Hopefully, we go ahead and start seeing freaking Corley freaking figure it out and he gets utilized. I think coaching had a huge reason as to why he wasn't used last year. So you got a 1, 2, and 3 punch in terms of the wide receiver room. The running back room I think is stacked. The offensive line was a top 6 unit after we dropped freaking Tyron Smith. You either bring back Morgan Moses or you need to find your freaking right tackle in this draft.
Do both. Do both.
Do both. Exactly. Or do both.
Do both.
I think you prep this team for next season. Draft class. Now, if somehow Tyrod Taylor or Jordan Travis or Fields or Cousins or whoever comes through and they have a season and they get us to the playoffs and we're one and done in the playoffs, you trade assets to move up and get your quarterback next year. Because I think you're going to have some studs at the position next year. So that's where I currently stand with that, man. And I hope that we're right in terms of seeing the talent, the gap of talent in terms of quarterback in this draft and next draft. If we go and we trade assets to move up this year, man, I think we should start to worry. If the Jets do make that move and they give up assets to bring in Shedeur Sanders or Ward, it's time to start worrying because these guys aren't the kind of quarterbacks you trade up for. If they fall to you, you run with it. You don't trade up for them. Obviously, I think there's only one blue chip guy in this entire draft, and it's Abdul Carter. I think he's that dude that's going to be a blue chipper.
Interesting.
I like Ted in terms of his ceiling. I think he's probably one of the most talented guys. I mean, 6 foot. Was it 6'5"?
6'5", 210.
6'5", 210. He was a 4.47 40. His routes are crisp. The kid catches everything in his aura, like in his orbit. He doesn't drop anything. I love
his zip
him.
code, dude. Yeah.
Anything he catches it. So I would love him alongside of freaking Garrett Wilson and at least get that stabilized for our future franchise quarterback. So that's my hopes.
Quick question since we talked Ted, because I think we're both aligned with Ted. I want you to be honest here. Garrett Wilson draft. Do you remember the wide receivers of that draft? The top of the board, right? Yeah. Drake London, Garrett Wilson.
Okay. The dude from Detroit went to Detroit. I forget his name.
Okay. I think everybody unanimously had either Garrett Wilson, wide receiver 1, Drake London, wide receiver 2.
Yep.
Or the other way around.
Yep.
I'll be honest here so that you don't feel like you have to take the bullet.
All right.
I was a Drake London guy. I wanted Drake London.
Really?
I wanted Drake
I
London.
just felt he was too slow, man. Like the separation to
wanted
me was
Drake London.
concerning.
I wanted. So you were a Garrett Wilson wide receiver won that class?
Honestly, no. I wanted Williams.
Oh, you wanted JMO.
I wanted JMO.
I
thought
wanted
he
nothing to
was
do with
the
JMO.
guy. I like JMO. I did. Wilson was my number 2 guy. He was my number 2 guy.
Interesting.
But
I forgot about
James
JMO.
Wilson was he was my number 1 guy.
I did not have a first round grade on JMO.
Really?
Yeah, no, I didn't. Wow. Size, dude. It's the same reason why I was terrified of Jaden Daniels. Same reason I was terrified of Bryce Young. Size. It's why I don't like Dylan Gabriel.
Garrett Wilson ain't big though, bro. Garrett Wilson is a tiny dude, dog. Like
dude,
he's a buck.
He's lit. Yeah. JMO is 95 pounds, soaking wet, carrying his teammates' pads, dude.
I don't know about
like, bro.
Pounds,
like Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's not, but he's got something on him. You know what I mean? Like if you deep fry him, you'll get a little bit of meat.
Okay.
JMO's just a toothpick. Like that, there's nothing there. The reason I asked was because I think the best comp for Tet is that he's Drake London light. And if you're telling me that we can get Garrett Wilson and Drake London light without the injury concern that Drake London had, because that's the end of the injury concern.
Yeah.
Ooh. And just so you're aware, Drake London technically has a faster clock speed. He had a faster clock speed at USC than Tet McMillan.
Yeah.
So they're like they're literally the same, but Drake's better.
You think Drake is better than Tet?
Yeah. It's not close. It's not close. Don't have revisionist history. I love Tet. I want Tet. Tet's my number 1 guy in this class. I love Tet. He's not better than Drake London.
I think Tet is a much better route runner than Drake ever was. That's not even close.
I don't think that there is a single thing that Tet does.
Because
they're very similar skill sets. I don't think there's a single thing that
Tet
does.
Literally, statistically speaking, a much better catch percentage, a lower drop percentage than freaking Drake. Totally. His routes are just Tet runs routes, bro, at the level of a smaller guy. Like it, Drake London, I will say I think Drake would have him definitively he would have him at the contested catches, got him there. But Tet definitely gets him beat in terms of yards after the catch.
No.
Yeah, man. I don't know, bro. I think Drake London was exciting. I'm not gonna pretend he wasn't. But I think Tet overall is more polished. Than that.
Okay. So we don't keep going on this because we can go forever on Tet.
Yeah.
I will present this challenge, and this is just between us. I would dare you sounds way too aggressive, but like I would be hard pressed if you can find one other guy, like one of these scout people, these evaluators that agrees with that take. I will concede. I won't agree with it. I'll be like, okay, you're not the only one. But I think that if you talk to most talent evaluator guys, your Joe Blewitts,
they have a higher grade on Drake.
Drake London, like, because that Tet McMillan is Drake London light. Like, that's what he is.
What?
He is a not as good Drake London.
I felt like Drake London was overrated.
Like, he doesn't go in the first round in that class. If Tet was in that class, he doesn't go in the first round.
What?
JMO's better. Garrett's better. Drake is better.
I'll give you Garrett. I have a hard time.
I'm just saying.
Looking at Drake.
Just find one guy.
I'm
okay, cool. You're not the only one.
In fact, I'll put a poll on Twitter because I'm
do
curious.
It. That's a great way to do it.
I'm curious. Drake London again. I wasn't a hater of Drake London, but I feel like he went too fast. He went too high. I thought he was going to be a late first round guy.
I was pissed when Atlanta took him.
Really? Over Garrett?
I wanted him over Garrett. I had him wide receiver 1.
No.
I had him wide receiver 1.
You were obviously wrong.
No, I'm not. If we want to have this conversation, statistically, Drake London has been exceptional in the NFL, just like Garrett. Go look it up, dude. In Atlanta, he's been a top 10 wide receiver when healthy.
I don't think it's close at all. I think now here I am. I got to go to sleep, but here I am because now I got to see.
What year was this draft? What was the draft year?
2021.
Was it 21?
Yeah.
I'm just going to PFF real quick because we're not going to sit on this because you got to go to sleep. I got to go to sleep. 21? No, it wasn't 21. That was Nico Collins. It's 22.
Oh, it's 22.
22. Drake London this year, 1,271 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns, the number 1 graded wide receiver of the 2022 draft class and 2024, according to according to PFF.
So this
Garrett
is
Wilson,
in college.
1,100. No. This is this year in the NFL. 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns. So cleared him there, right?
Hold on. What are you looking at? Drake London right now I'm looking at this year had 69 receptions for 905 yards.
Had regular season and postseason.
2 TDs.
This year?
That's what this thing's saying. You're comparing those two for this year.
Drake London has 9 touchdowns this year.
Let me see.
1,200 yards. Garrett Wilson has 1,100, 7 touchdowns.
Where's Drake London?
In
Show me
2023, Drake London had 905 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Career stats.
Garrett had 1,103. And Drake got, again, a better grade than on PFF. Take that with a grain of salt. And then 2022, their rookie years, Garrett cleared.
His career. Yeah, for their careers, Garrett Wilson's got him beat. I'm looking at this right now.
No, yeah, in total yards, I think if you look at it like that. But I'm just saying, like,
and catches, total yards, receptions, and touchdowns. He's got him beat career-wise.
He has 4 touchdowns in the rookie year, and then 2 touchdowns and then 3 touchdowns.
Total. And Garrett has rushing touchdowns.
Garrett's one up.
Garrett has one rushing touchdown too. Yeah.
Okay. Never mind.
So.
And I was going to say Drake has 9, Garrett has 7. If you're talking receiving touchdowns, Drake has 1 on him.
That's just what total?
Yeah, receiving touchdowns.
How many?
If you go receiving touchdowns
Drake
only,
have total?
Drake has 1 on Garrett Wilson because he has 9 this year, and they both had the same in their rookie year. Garrett had 1 up in their second year.
Uh-huh.
Drake had 2 up this year, so that would mean that Drake is up 1.
1 on the receiving,
and then on yards,
cool. Yards, Garrett Wilson's got him.
Yeah,
and receptions, Garrett Wilson's got him. And if you count the total TDs, Garrett, I guess it's tied then because Garrett Wilson has 1 rushing touchdown.
So yeah, then they're tied. Again, I don't think Garrett Garrett doesn't clear Drake.
But I give Garrett also the advantage because he's done it with some of the worst quarterback play we've seen in the history of the NFL.
We're gonna pretend Atlanta.
It wasn't great, but it wasn't New York Jets bad. We know for a fact that Zach Wilson.
No, totally. I'm just saying. Let's not pretend like Atlanta's been a good team. They ruined Kyle Pitts. They didn't ruin Kyle Pitts. I actually predicted this. But
I think Kyle Pitts. Yeah, I think Kyle Pitts just did Kyle Pitts things. What was?
Yeah, he was too big to be a wide receiver, so they tried to play him at tight end.
Exactly.
You and I were in sync on that, right?
We were in sync. 100%.
Yeah,
you and I both were.
You and I were both like, he's not generational. He's Megatron. Use him like Megatron. Yeah, and he'll be fine. And don't put him in line.
They made him a tight end. Failed.
No one listened. Arthur Smith, instead of using Bijan, started throwing the ball, but to not Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull on Twitter because I'm kind of curious about this Drake London Garrett Wilson thing. I feel like Garrett Wilson is a guy who we still haven't seen the ceiling of because he has not had an average NFL quarterback in his tenure yet. Even this year, freaking Aaron Rodgers finished out the 24th best quarterback in the NFL, statistically speaking. So like it wasn't average, right?
I'm happy we have Garrett Wilson. He has a better track record with health, and I think that he's phenomenal. This is not me trying to say that. I'm happy with Garrett.
No. And I'm just saying
I don't think Garrett clears Drake. Like you made it seem like Garrett clears Drake. I don't think he clears Drake. I think that they are like in that same. They're different molds, right? It's like comparing Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans. Nah, they're both really, really good freaking wide receivers. Yeah. They're not the same.
But Tyreek Hill, you want him on your team more than you'd want Mike Evans on your team.
No, I think I would want Mike Evans because I think Mike Evans catches anything in his radius.
Character
in the red zone.
That's also a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
And he stuck it with Tampa Bay when Tampa Bay was absolutely dog crap for how many years?
Tyreek Hill makes your defense pregnant women
and then wants to leave the moment to it.
I get the character. I get the character comparison, but on the field. Defenses are like shit. It's Tyreek Hill. We need to do this, and this. You know what I'm saying?
They're doing the same thing to Mike Evans.
But
you just got to bracket.
Hey, I appreciate you guys for chopping it up with us.
I'm going to sleep, Gunny.
Have to go to sleep. We got work in the morning and stuff. This has been episode 42 of the Hanger Hangout. Appreciate you guys chopping it up. Appreciate you guys in the chat, just talking, having a good time, conversing. This is what the Hangout is about. Me and Tigo obviously aren't going to see things eye to eye, which is why I think he and I are always a fun dynamic. We got 147 people watching this between Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Appreciate all of you guys. Tigo, tell what the folks where they can find you, brother.
Talking Jets with Tigo on YouTube. Talking with Tigo on everything else. We're doing a whole series on the channel of what mock off seasons are going to look like. I was supposed to release it yesterday, and then we got the Aaron Rodgers news, and then I just went I recorded it and was doom and gloom. I traded everybody. Brees was gone, Quinnen was gone, Minty was gone, Garrett was gone. I just traded because I was just not in a good mood, because that's just said I was fear mongering myself. And then I uploaded it, and then I was about to hit publish, and I was like, come on, have some faith. Redo this. So it's coming out tomorrow. The new one with some hope. It's coming out tomorrow. Maybe I release the doom and gloom one a little later, but that's what we're doing right now, is a whole series. And I'm talking contracts, free agents, draft, how we're going to utilize people. And I've done deep dives. I've looked at every draft that Moogie has been and Glen has been a part of since he was a scout, to try to find some trends and some things and I've done a lot of research on these things. So there's one already up. This was us keeping Aaron Rodgers if you want to see the vibe. But yeah, that's what we're doing.
Man, listen, his YouTube channel and his Twitter handle is in the description. Give him a follow. Tigo will go with you in terms of whether you're on page with him or not. He's going to bring you some stats. You always love having somebody who's logical in terms of processing his opinions and objectives. So give him a follow, man. It's definitely worth following. He and I talk damn near every day. We're always going back and forth, and it makes us better. Because I've gotten him a couple of times, he's gotten me a couple of times. But you only really know if you know what you know when you're literally engaging with people who may disagree with you or may agree with you and show you different perspectives. So definitely give him a follow.
Iron sharpens iron.
There it is. Iron sharpens iron. Even in this debate game when it comes to talking sports. I appreciate you, Tigo, man. I'm going to have you back on again, dog. We're going to actually talk the draft next time. I want to see where we're at. Maybe do a little mock draft situation for everybody. I appreciate you guys. Again, if you're following me on right now, I see you on Instagram. I see you on Twitter. Jump on YouTube, like and subscribe. We appreciate you, man. Your like and your subscription goes a long way in making sure this podcast gets out to other Jets fans or even AFC fans. I know I've got some rivals as well in here watching, just to kind of see what we talk about when it comes to the Jets. I appreciate you guys as well. Again, we got some giveaways coming up in terms of a Joe Namath jersey once we hit 2,000 subscribers. I'm hoping to do that before the draft gets here, and we're going to be doing a mini helmet giveaway for the draft. So again, you got to be subscribed to YouTube to qualify. It's a pretty awesome mini helmet this year. It's a pretty awesone one too.
I'm trying to keep the title. I'm running it back to back. I'm not going to choke like
last year. You got the very
Kansas City
like the Chiefs.
I'm not going to let Taylor Swift poison my mind.
Don't let him do it to you. But, brother, I appreciate you, man. We both got to go to bed. We got work in the morning. Everybody, I appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. Y'all have a good night. And, I guess, as always, go Jets.